back to episode 3 of the Simulator Chat series. Today I'm playing Boyne Highlands, I believe that's how it's pronounced. It's a Donald Ross Memorial course. I first thought it was just a made-up fictional course that just featured 18 of his most famous holes, but I was speaking to the person at the facility that I play at, and they said it's a real course and it's located in Michigan, so that was interesting to find out. But playing this course here today, I think this location has like 80 different courses you can play. I'm trying to play some that might be a little more known. They do have some like arcade-like ones or like made-up courses, but you'll see some of the other courses I play here in the future, like St. Andrews or Pebble Beach and Spyglass Hill. So I try to choose some of the more popular courses that I typically wouldn't get the chance to play, and just figured that this just going alphabetically through like the courses, this was one that sounded interesting. So got a handful of topics that I want to just chat about today. Get your thoughts down in the comments below. To start this, I think this is the last of episode of these that I filmed. So I think I filmed about like 8 or 10 of these so far, like the recordings of me playing at the simulator, not the actual simulator chats yet. This should be episode 3. I'm going to be releasing episode 1 February 1st. I think I recorded those in the end of December, so it's been, I think it's like the end of January now, so it's been about a month since I last recorded one of these. Just had a lot going on, busy around the holidays, end of year. So one of the things I wanted to talk about to start with is the toxic golf culture. The reason I bring this up is my TikTok videos have recently, I would say, I don't know if I'm hitting an algorithm. I don't know if it's just because how much I'm posting. I post twice a day. I've been consistent with it for about 3 months now. But I've been posting on and off since about 2023, I think it was, when I first started posting. So on and off for about 3 years, but really I've been consistent for the last 3 months. And my videos went from getting like 400 or 500 views on TikToks to now I'm getting like 4,000 or 5,000. Some are running up to 20,000, and it's exciting to see that I'm kind of hitting the algorithm. I'm not getting as many followers or subscribers still, but it's still nice to see that people are interested, staying and watching the video, and the interactions definitely help, boost the viewership for me. But the one thing that I've noticed that comes with this is the comment sections, and I'm not one to let anything bother me. I do this knowing and expecting that people are going to be out there saying things in the comment like, oh, you suck, or you're terrible at golf, you should give up, all those various things. But I kind of think about, like, I knew this going in. I know recently people like Bob Does Sports and Foreplay, they do like the hater series where they bring a hater on and they play, and it's usually Joey Colcutt's playing for Bob Does Sports, and I think it's Riggs typically for Foreplay. I haven't watched a whole ton of them, but I've seen a couple. I've heard the podcast where they talk about the series, and it's the golf culture as a whole can be so welcoming and so ruthless at the same time. So I've been getting like comments, and some of them will be like, not to be offensive, but this sport probably isn't for you. You should probably stop golfing. And I'm like, okay, like, thanks, but I didn't ask for your opinion, nor do I care about your opinion. I'm still going to continue to play and post videos, and you leaving hateful comments like that, or leaving comments in general, whether they're hateful or normal, I shouldn't say normal, whether they're hateful or positive, or I always accept constructive criticism. If people are like, hey, you should try this with your swing, or try this with your approach, or have you thought about getting lessons, I'm always receptive to those. I usually respond and give my thoughts or feedback to it. But for comments like that, I'm just not going to respond to. Sometimes I'll delete them, sometimes I'll respond, depends on what kind of mood I'm in. I could care less, but all it does is just drives engagement, which drives the algorithm. I thought about taking it the other approach where I just rage bait back, and like I've had someone who will post and be like, turn down the altitude settings. You're max out the altitude settings. That's not a swing that goes that far. Well, first of all, like, as you can see right there, I think I just hit a driver. It went 198 yards. Like, why would I be lying about hitting the ball 198 yards? I could see if I was hitting the ball like 280 to 320 and my swing doesn't look like that, and so I'm making that comment. So part of me just feels like it's rage baity comments that people are just trying to like maybe get people to their page or drive engagement through their page or whatever it might be. Whatever the case, doesn't matter. But like, I'm not gonna sit here and play into that. And this person posted it probably on like 4 or 5 of my videos. I eventually just blocked them on TikTok. Don't care. I have a regular life outside of posting these videos. I do this for fun, and on the side, like I said, I think in one of my original posts or one of my original simulator cast videos that I typically go out and play golf. I like to go out and play. I enjoy it. And it's not hard for me to set a camera up on my walking bag or when I go to the simulator to set it up, hit play, record the hole, hit pause, do it again. It takes me 10 minutes to edit a video. Not even. Wow. These longer videos probably take me like 10 minutes. Like editing this 22-minute video, these clips took me probably about 10-15 minutes to do. But the individual posts that I do for YouTube Shorts and TikToks, max 3 minutes of video. And then it takes me, and then I can like schedule videos on TikTok and YouTube, so I just spend time and just schedule out like a week's worth, and then I don't think about it. And I'm like, why not? I'm already playing. I'm already enjoying playing, so let's just see what happens. Post it out there, and who cares? But it's just a very toxic culture because, and this will flow into my next question, but I get the hateful comments, or I get the comments on my game in the description on my YouTube. I believe it's on my YouTube, but definitely on my TikTok. It specifically says, high handicap golfer. I've never once pretended to be good at golf. I'm playing in a simulator, hitting off a mat. I've said this multiple times. I've even said this to my friends and other people that I play with. I've said this to people that I work with in my full-time job. I've talked about this a lot. I'm playing in perfect conditions, hitting off of a flat surface. There's no slope, there's no hill, and I have a perfect lie every time. So whether I'm sitting in a bunker on the simulator or sitting in the rough or sitting in the fairway, I'm basically always hitting off of a fairway quality position. So I know it's not realistic, but coming in here and getting swings and practicing will do nothing but help my game. And the reason I play the courses is, one, I think it creates better videos. I think people are more interested in watching me play a hole than just sitting at the driving range in the simulator and just beat balls all day. So, and plus I'm not going to spend $60 or $40 an hour, depending on the time that I go, and beat balls at a simulator for an hour when I can go to a driving range when the weather gets nicer and I can hit a bucket of balls and spend 30 minutes hitting 90 balls that cost me $10. Like, that's just a waste of money in my opinion. So I'll sometimes, if I have time at the end, or like when I'm just get there, if I book like 2 hours and I know I have some extra time, I'll like hit the range just to loosen up, or at the end maybe I'll take a club and just get some practice swings in if I have a bit of time to kill. But typically, and you'll see these coming up at the end, what I started doing is there's these 9-hole courses. I think there's 2 of them, like 2 par 3 courses that are 9 holes, and I'll play those if I have like an extra 10 or 15 minutes at the end, because if I set it to no putt mode, all I have to do is hit it on the green. So sometimes, like, I hit a shot and my tee shot, say it lands on the green, it takes me like 20 seconds to play that hole. So I can rip through holes really quickly. I don't have to like screw the tee in and out. So you'll see me do that at the end. But going all the way back here, I've never once pretended to be a good golfer. I think I said I shoot in like typically the mid to upper 90s. I play from the white tees. I don't play from the tips. I'm not a long enough hitter to play from the tips. I'm going to play the correct tee box. But yeah, I think just the golf culture all can be very toxic and negative. And I think the big thing that stood out was the Internet Invitational. That's when I knew how toxic the culture was. how quickly people were out there just like bashing guys like Luke Kwan for sleeping in, or just ripping apart people like Paige and like Mo for like the cheating scandals, and like how that it's like it's all for entertainment. Like, it has no impact on your individual life sitting at home watching it, whether you're watching my video or you're watching a video like a good video or a Bob the Sports video where people have millions of followers, or Rick Shields videos. Whether you're watching their video or you're watching my video or another mid-sized creator video, for example, it's all meant just for entertainment. Some people sit there and like say they're really good, and maybe that's part of their persona, and the thing they strive to be is like maybe they try to be more arrogant, or maybe they try to be more, just like boast more about like they hit the ball far. And I can see people maybe getting on someone like that if then they hit a bad shot. But whatever, again, it's a bad shot. It's a fun activity, game or sport. That is a topic for another video, but whatever you want to classify it as. And I think it's just one of the only activities where there's so much negativity in the space, and there just doesn't need to be. So this kind of flows into my next topic about the negative space, because I get a lot of comments typically about how far I hit the ball. Right now, these first 3 episodes, you won't see it, but I end up getting new clubs, I think by like the 4th or 5th episode, and I adjust my swing. I focus on swinging smoother, and I'm just working on just control through my swing. And as I was doing that, I wasn't hitting the ball as far. Again, wasn't the goal. My goal was to work on club path, work on consistency, and that's when the comments started coming out, was when my drives weren't going as far. Well, and I was going back and forth in the comments, one of my videos with someone, but for example, they were like, you should work on distance. And I was like, I 100% agree. I know I need to work on distance, and I know I need to work on consistency with my driver. I would like to see myself consistently above that 250 yard mark with my drives, 100%. But the back and forth I had with him is right now I'm playing in a simulator, and why would I focus on just swinging out of my shoes if my swing is not correct? And he understood what I was saying, and he came back and said, well, like on the courses that we typically play, like local municipal courses, white tees, or men's tees, like not the tips, like the, I guess most of them is like the white tees, or like the middle tee, not the forward tees, not the fullback tees, but whatever you want to call that, tee box. The guy was saying how it would be better to be like 60 to 90 yards out on a par 4 than be 150 yards out. 100% agree. But I would also rather be on the correct fairway and the ball staying in play off every tee than being the next fairway over or launching it into the woods or into water. Because then you're instantly racking up strokes, and it doesn't matter if I pushed the ball down there and I'm only 90 yards, but now you have to take a drop and you're hitting for 3. So I can see the point about hitting it far versus consistency, but that kind of just floats into the next topic here, which is, do you think golfers are more successful when they have power? Guys like Bryson DeChambeau, for example, Brad Dahlke from Good. You see guys like Kyle Berkshire who are like long drive guys, and there's that foreign dude, I forget his name, but he plays a lot with Bryson DeChambeau. I haven't really watched any of his videos, but I've like seen him through those videos. And they just launch the ball. I mean, consistently hitting the ball 300 plus off the drive, hitting 9 irons, 210 yards. Do you think having a game with a lot of power is better, or a game where you're very consistent? And now I know a guy like Grant Horvat, for example, is consistent. He's super consistent. He's got, that's the golden boy of golf, they call him, right? Of YouTube golf. And he's very consistent. He's a good coach. I see the videos where he's like teaching Bob during the Breaking 90s or the Breaking 80s series. But he doesn't hit the ball as far as a guy like Brad Daugherty does, for example, or like a Micah Morris, or recently they had the good week, like reunion, and he kind of mentioned it, like he doesn't hit the ball as far, but he's consistently in the fairway. He consistently hits the ball straight. He hits his shot shape every time. Sean Walsh is another guy from Good. He's got like a robotic swing. The Bryan Bros, they have some distance. I know they can hit the ball pretty far, but they're pretty similar. They have like robotic swings, very consistent. So, do you think as a golfer you would rather have consistency or power? And I think, I could be wrong. I'm just going to throw a shot out there. I would say 85% of people who have played golf a lot, no matter if you're shooting really low scores or you're just getting into the game, I think most people would take consistency over anything else. If you can consistently make contact, make the same contact, hit the same shot shape, hit the fairways, hit greens and regulations, like I think people would rather have that than driving the ball 350 yards with minimal control, or hitting the ball 400 yards plus, getting to par fives with a wedge, like a gap wedge on your second shot. But there's a chance you're 3 fairways over or out of play. I think most people would take the consistency side. So that's kind of the approach that I have right now, is I want to be more consistent. I don't care about hitting the ball far. So again, the comments don't bother me. I just wanted to touch on it because it's been popping up more and more recently, and it's just something that in a golf space where there's a lot of different creators, a lot of different things going on, a lot of different personalities, I would rather be the person who tries to, push for positivity. If you're a new golfer, if you're someone who's just getting into the game or have only been in the game for a little bit of time, there's a guy I follow on TikTok, and he's like just beginning. I think his name's like I Learn Golf, and I watch his videos. I never comment. I never critique his swing. I'll let him figure that out on his own. If he asks in one of his videos, "Hey, does anyone have any tips?" I'll leave a comment. And I've done that a few times. Or someone's like, "Hey, any thoughts on this?" I will do that. But I'm not just gonna sit there and bash him because he's just starting to play. I'm happy to see people get into the game. I have a few people that I know that I'm looking to try to get into golf hopefully this year, and I kind of touched on it, I think, in one of the previous episodes. I don't know if it was episode 1 or 2, that golf's one of those games you can play as you age. So the earlier you get into it, the more fun. And I just think as a whole, it's one of those sports that can really get people excited. Just to the video real quick here, I think that 2 holes ago I had a hole out from 110 yards. Kind of wish that I had, you'll see in future videos, I switched the camera angle so it actually follows the ball. Wish I had that setting on because it would have been cool seeing the ball bounce in the hole. And then I just knocked down like a 28-foot putt for back-to-back birdies. So I'm not excited for this next hole because I don't think I did too well on it. But anyways, just want to get your thoughts. Would you rather be consistent or hit the ball far? Not sure what people's preference is, and everyone's preference is going to be different. That's perfectly fine. But like I said, one of the things I want to work on is consistency, and to do that, I'm probably going to play the front tees a decent amount this year to focus on scoring. Not fully sure if I've really talked about that in the past, but I would rather play the red tees and shoot in the mid-80s than play the whites and shoot in the mid-90s, or play the tips and shoot in like the 105 range. If I'm playing like a bucket list course, yeah, like I might want to play the tips just to say I played the tips from Pebble Beach, for example. But on my local municipal courses that I play all the time, it doesn't really matter. I want to play the tee box that's going to help me score and help improve my game. And you score, and your score really racks up inside of 100 yards. If you're missing greens and you're chipping twice and you're putting the ball 3 times on every green, that's where that score snowballs and you build those big scores. So just getting as much practice inside of that range as possible. And I kind of mentioned earlier, but I will be flipping going forward these simulator videos, because I did it at some point and I've really enjoyed it, is to a no putt mode. No putt mode, the goal of no putt mode is just to get on the green as quick as possible. and obviously as close to the pin as possible. If you're within like, I think like 6 to 7 feet, typically it's going to give you a 1 putt. Outside of that, it's 2, but anything like above like 20 feet is like an automatic 3 putt, and you never get higher than a 3 putt. So the goal is to hit a far enough drive, hit a far enough tee shot, but then where I can really focus on my game at the simulator, because putting on the simulator isn't fully accurate, and I would rather practice putting like on my putting mat that I have at home or on the putting greens, like when the weather gets nicer, going out and hitting putts actually on like practice greens. So I would rather focus on hitting wedges, mid to long irons, and just working on accuracy from like that 200, like that 100 to 200 yard range. If I can hit more greens in regulation, I'm going to see lower scores. So I decided to flip. One, like I said, the putting isn't super accurate, and I don't think it adds like a ton of value to my game by hitting putts on here. But two, I think the other side of it is I can play quicker rounds. So if I book for like an hour and a half, I can play 2 18-hole rounds in 1 hour and a half of playing at the simulator. Where if I book an hour and putt, it'll probably take me like 45 minutes to do that. The other thing I'm going to do is I'll and you'll see this as we go on, I replay courses, and I play from the red tees just to see how I would improve my score. So I'm wrapping up this course here, and I think I finished at like 6 over, which is the best round that I've ever played here, 1 at the simulator, but 2 in general. But you're going to see at the end here, I had 1 mulligan. It was my first shot, like my first tee ball. It was the first swing. I think I only booked this for an hour because this was the only, this is the only course that I played this day that I went. But I booked it for an hour, and I just didn't hit any practice swings, so I just took like a breakfast ball. But I did have 1 mulligan, shot 6 over, had the crazy hole out. So thank you for following the episode, and see you in the next one.